When a missionary of the Emperor's cult comes to a new world, how is what that world worships changed to the Emperor? What are the many ways he is worshipped across the Imperium, and how much is known about the Primarchs, and how do they fit into it? Let's begin. The cult imperialis is one of the few common factors that link the disparate worlds of the Imperium together. No matter what conditions prevail upon a world within the Imperium, the imperial cult will be found there. The ways in which the Emperor is worshipped are many. To some he is revered as a distant, patriarchal, human figure. Others identify him with some aspect of nature. Many others, such as the primitive Ephesians of the Dwimlicht, regard him as a star god, for his agents only visit occasionally and they descend from the heavens when they do so. But all the creeds of the cult agree upon one thing: there is only one emperor. To worship a pantheon of gods and put other gods alongside him is heresy. The ecclesiarchy maintains and promotes the cult-wide galaxy, and where possible tries to sanction the worship of the emperor, no matter how bizarre it may seem. Very few practices are prescribed, and even such abominations as human sacrifice to the emperor are useful to the Imperium, for it is easier to convince a newly encountered culture that approves of such custom to give up its psychers to the black ships. One of the ecclesiarchy's tasks is to record the many traditions with which the emperor is honoured. In that way, two preachers from opposite sides of the galaxy will know, no matter what their title or manner of expressing their devotion might be, that neither is a heretic. The ecclesiarchy sends out mission fleets for precisely this purpose, whose flotillas of blessed spacecraft slowly circle a particular part of the galaxy, recording new variants of the cult, correcting serious heresies, and trying to find new populations of humanity across the galaxy. To all, the Emperor is a living god. He may be tens of thousands of light years away, but that he exists, the inhabitants of the Imperium know, so faith is an easy thing. Some amongst the ecclesiarchy and Inquisition may argue that man should be more ardent in their devotion to him, but though some may be lax in their adulation, and may blaspheme or heretically curse the master of mankind for their lot, it is nevertheless rare to meet a man who would dare to deny the Emperor's divinity. When they are sent out to share the words of the God Emperor in these instances, the missionary must first absorb and learn the ways of the native society and its religion, if one exists. As he comes to grip with the culture, he must identify practices and teachings that can be refined to become consistent with the ways of the imperial creed. A missionary's ultimate goal on any world is to convert its existing populace to the imperial creed, but this is no trivial matter. Often a missionary must work without any support. As the sole representative of the Imperium, the missionary serves as an ambassador to the entire planet. Given the scale of this task, many missionaries attempt to institute a gradual and subtle reform that can subtly gain traction within the planet's culture, rather than trying to violently overwhelm the local beliefs immediately by force of arms or raw charisma. Missionaries frequently begin implementing such changes by integrating portions of the imperial creed into the planet's native belief system. This may be a simple matter of substituting the emperor and his saints for the roles of deities within the world's pantheon. In other circumstances, a solution could require more extreme violent actions, or could take long-term planning. A missionary might have to design a system for a far more gradual conversion process. By placing facets of the imperial creed sneakily, subversively into the culture, a missionary can help to lay the groundwork for his successor, sometimes one who only arrives centuries or millennia later. Ideally, the foundation the first missionary creates opportunities for future missionaries to exploit in the signs and prophecies the first leaves behind, ensuring that even if he cannot succeed in his lifetime, the Imperium will triumph long after his death. Now, we have covered a few examples before, but let's look how the Emperor's worship is adapted for different places. While all examples of the Imperium offer worship to the Emperor, the manner in which they do so varies enormously from one culture to the next. So vast are the Emperor's domains, and so varied his peoples, that most share only the smallest amount of common cultural ground. Thus, the so-called Imperial Creed takes almost as many forms as there are planets in the Imperium. though all espouse the worship of the same deity, the Emperor. The followers of many worlds would scarcely feel any kinship with one another or recognise that both venerate the same god. There are worlds where priests cast living human sacrifices into the throats of volcanoes, believing that the Emperor dwells in the fiery depths and the victims will become his favoured servants. Others believe that the Emperor resides at the burning heart of the sun, with only their constant veneration guaranteeing he'll rise above the horizon each day. Others know something of the truth, that the Emperor sits upon his golden throne on distant terror, but even amongst these there are countless variations in the forms and styles of worship. Now, despite these millions of localized manifestations of the Imperial Creed, the religion's ruling classes, the countless officers of the Adeptus Ministorum, come together to form a galaxy-spanning institution which propagates the worship of the God Emperor of mankind as a living deity, catalogues the endless variety of beliefs, weeds out the truly heretical cults, and guards against errant doctrine. In the name of the Emperor, they call the faithful to prayer, exact tithes, and preach holy crusades. In a galaxy in which war and oppression form the normal states of existence, veneration of the master of mankind, in whatever form, is held to be the only means by which the countless foes of mankind will be overcome. Now, here are a few examples. Necrophagia, the eating of the dead, is a practice prescribed by the Imperial Creed, but when it is encountered in savage cultures, it may be replaced with the symbolic consumption of a particular totem animal. Equally, the worship of a pantheon of multiple gods will be replaced with that of a host of imperial saints, each chosen because they embody something of the qualities associated with each of the deposed deities. The heliocultists of Limnus Epsilon, for example, the Emperor resides in their sun, his warriors coming every century to claim the best of the world's youth to fight at his side within the fire heart of the star. To the apocalypse of the world bordering the hell stars of the Gara Nebula, he is a bringer of merciful death, deliverance from the evil that stalks their world by night. To the feral natives of Miral, the Emperor was the great beast that stalked the dark places of the forests, and to the acid miners of Mordant, he is the guiding spirit light that keeps the all-encompassing darkness at bay. Even within the ranks of the Adeptus Ministorum, no two clerics draw from two different worlds, share the same view of the nature of the god they worship. Debates rage between men divided in their understanding of the Emperor's divinity, yet utterly united in their worship of him. Though even here debate on occasion turns to division, and division to outright aggression. Some examples of how he's depicted we'll now go over. The walls of the hallway were lined with engravings, tall and narrow. The place McCall guessed had been a centre of clade administration, the engravings displaying the Urgesh loyalty to terror in the form of images of the god Emperor, but they reflected the interests of Urdesh. He was the Emperor in the aspect of a sea god, coiling with scale tentacles. On another panel he was festooned with weapons, pods, triumphing the product of the forger's war foundries. On another he was so augmented with cyber implants, he resembled a titan with a single human eye. And finally, looking at the nitty-gritty, the detail of how he's shown, and what about his Primarch sons, how are they displayed, in a few examples from across the Imperium. Ahead of her, the altarpiece, soared up high, a confection of blackened gold, depicting the 9 Primarchs in various warlike or devotional poses. Others shared more details of what happened during the heresy, and so the Emperor created the 9 Primarchs to guard against the 9 devils of the outer hell, and they were victorious, and now sleep watching over mankind, lest the terror returns. As a child, it had never been clear to her who had created the 9 devils, and details in some places across Imperium that should perhaps not be there. The screen was carved just as the Eternity Gate had been carved, a vast tapestry of overlapping, elaborately occult depictions of bestial and legendary figures. There were 20 great knights, shown in a huge circle, surrounding a icon of the Emperor enthroned. Some of those knights looked like the Ministorum-sanctioned images of the Holy Primarchs. But why were there 20 of them? So there's little hints in different places and different levels of what people know. Even if they don't know the details behind those things, they are still out there. So, if you enjoyed the video, try this other one that I did on the Emperor.